Before we jump in today's video, I just want to remind everybody that I'm not a financial advisor. So this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as financial, investment, or trading advice. All investments involve risk, and you should do your own research or consult with a licensed financial professional before making any investment decisions. Just remember, past performance is not indicative of future results. Hey everybody, it's Paul here on my channel, Better Call Paul, and today we're going to go over my real life case study where I talk about my tax-free savings account that I am currently withdrawing $1,000 a month to prove that you can live off your covered call ETFs. So tomorrow is the last trading day of the month, but otherwise I've completed all my transactions and I've received all my distributions. So I'm just filming it now. And tomorrow I will update the final balance for the month if it changes, and which it will, because covered call ETFs, they seem to go up and down on a daily basis. Tomorrow could be a red day, could be a green day. But anyways, we're getting this done now while I have time and I can get it edited for you. So I want to jump into a spreadsheet that you haven't seen in a few months, and this is my my spreadsheet from last year, 2025. So you can see here in June is when this case study started. And my balance at the time was $58,000 and I withdrew $1,000. And you can see the dividends at the time were very high. And this was before Bitcoin started to tank. And some of my ETFs had to, as a result, cut their distribution. One of the reasons why I wanted to show you this as well is just to see, just a reminder that in 2025, my portfolio balance, it fluctuated from $45,000 to $60,000. So this is quite normal. I don't consider this to be NAV erosion that it's gone down, right? So it went from 45 to 60 and then down to 47. So right now it's currently down, but with the right market conditions, I could see it going back up again. Personally, I'd like to see this portfolio around the $55,000 mark as kind of like an average, but it is what it is for right now, as long as it keeps generating more than $1,000 a month. All right, so let's jump into 2026. You can see that at the end of January on the 30th, last trading day of the month, I had a balance of $44,524, received total distributions of $1,340, and I withdrew $1,000. There was some cash left over, but I've spent it all now. So here we are. It's February 26th. Tomorrow will be the last trading day, currently at $42,358. And again, I don't personally believe this has anything to do with NAV erosion as much as it has to do with the market is currently rotating out of tech stocks, right, out of Bitcoin and into other sectors like finances, utilities, and energy. So when that shifts again, whether it's this year or next year, could be in a few months, could be in 10 months, whenever that happens, I think you'll see that my balance will go back up quite significantly and I believe quite quickly. But anyways, for right now, we're at $42,358. This month I made $1,312 and I was able to withdraw another $1,000, which is the point of this whole case study, is withdrawing the $1,000, reinvesting the difference, and being able to live off of that income. So I keep track down here at the bottom. You can see so far this year I've withdrawn $2,000. The portfolio's paid $2,653. Now, if you take the balance right now and you add the 2,000 that I've withdrawn, you get a total of 44,358. If you take a look at this this chart right here, you can see which positions I currently have, and you can see how many shares that I had at the beginning of this month. So today I decided to add to a couple of these positions, and we'll get into that on the next spreadsheet. Yeah, you can see that HHIS, my largest position, and it pays me $540, which my yield on cost is 28%. And then Biggie from Evolve, I have 308 shares, pays twice a month, but the total for me is 192.50, which is 28.99 percent yield on cost. MSTE, I put a lot of money into this one. It's currently down quite significantly. So I have 950 shares, and with the 15-cent distribution, it paid $190. So the yield on cost right now is 16.08 because obviously I paid a lot more than it's currently worth. Alti, I still have 55 shares left after the reverse split. And this one changes, the distribution changes on a weekly basis. Last month, it looked like it was paying, I think, closer to 50 cents per week. Now it's down between 45. I think 3 weeks were 45. 1 week was maybe 47 cents. CNYE, this one tanked as well because of crypto. So I still have my 400 shares left. I get a dividend of 140. They did finally reduce the dividend by 5 cents, but otherwise it's been pretty consistent. And you can see the yield on cost is 35%. Tesla, this one is still in the green for me. It's doing quite well. I have 475 shares, and it pays me 118.75. Although I believe next month it's coming down from 25 cents to 22 cents. So this one's going to decrease a little bit. HHIC, I have 100 shares. This one has increased the distribution from 16 to 18 cents. So next month it'll pay $18. I did decide to use Perry's way of categorizing your ETFs, where he looks at which ones are more foundational and calls them your anchors, and then which ones have a slightly higher yield, but are not single stock ETFs and the yield's not above 60%. So these are my boosters. And then juicers, these are my single stock ETFs, or ETFs that have yields over 60%. Alti, according to this, what's Alti at? My Alti is only 27% yield on cost, so maybe it doesn't even classify as a juicer anymore. But anyways, you can see that I'm overweighted in boosters and juicers. So eventually I do want to add to my anchors. Now, according to stock events, next month I should receive $1,332 in distributions, but that will all depend on Alti, right? So if Alti pays a little bit more, a little bit less, this number could change, but I think it will be probably at least 1,300. And that will allow me once again to take my $1,000 and to reinvest approximately $300. Okay, so the changes made to the portfolio. So today I decided to buy 100 shares of MSTE at $3.58. Now, unfortunately, I spent way too long thinking about this, and I missed out on the opportunity of buying MSTE closer to $3, or maybe even under $3 for a little while. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I kept thinking about it. But finally, I decided I'm just going to, average my costs down, take advantage of the low share price, and buy another 100 shares of MSTE for now. And then I put the rest of the money into Biggie, bought another 22 shares of Biggie. So I decided against buying more HHIC because right now I'm up 9%, and I didn't want to increase my share price. I think when you're working with covered call ETFs, if you can, the best thing to do is to buy below your average cost, if you can do that. So guys, here we are. I believe we're about 10 months into this case study. And as far as I'm concerned, it's doing extremely well. Because my portfolio balance is down, I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack from a few people, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I did decide this month to add to a couple positions that were down quite significantly. I think in the end, that was the smart play, right? Right now, HHIC is doing very well. but I don't want to chase stocks that are doing well. HHIC, I should have been buying when it was down, and the other tech companies were up. So right now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to buy the tech companies while they're down, and when they go up and HHIC goes down, then I'll reverse that and I'll start loading up on it when it's below my average cost, which I think in time will happen. Might not be for a few months, but I think eventually it will happen. Anyways, I will reevaluate this next month. So, to answer any questions about this portfolio that I typically get, I will say that keep in mind this is just, I believe, 6 holdings in my portfolio, which now is down to 30 holdings. I have 31 holdings in total, but 2 of them are HHIS, right? Because I have the US version and the Canadian version. So I count that as just one. So I finally got my portfolio down from like 40, about 43 or 44 holdings down to 30. And these are just 6 of them. So, a lot of times I'll get questions as to why I don't hold HYLD, HDIV, maybe HDIF from Harvest. What else is popular? QDay, SDay, utility stocks like Utes, energy stocks like ENCL, for example. Anyways, I get those questions and I own all of those, right? So they're in my RSP, they're in my other TFSA, or they're in my margin account. So I do have a lot of other ETFs. I'm not just holding these, high yield tech stocks. All right, guys. So that's about it for today. I'm really happy about this case study. I'm looking forward to hitting the 1 year mark. 1 year is not a very long time frame, but it's kind of exciting for me that I started this case study and it'll be hitting, its 1 year anniversary. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the portfolio is once we hit that mark. And to be honest, guys, I really appreciate everybody who has followed this case study. People who message me every once in a while and say, "Hey, Paul, are you going to do another update? Like, how's your case study doing?" So I really appreciate that. Channel's growing. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. So, if you're interested in passive income, if you're interested in being able to retire, without millions of dollars, retire at an earlier age, or maybe be semi-retired in your 50s, then please, like this video, leave me a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. All right, everybody. So I hope you all have a great night and a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.